Hello and welcome to ThePrint. The Telangana voter has opted for change, dislodging the two-term KCR government. The Congress has won a comfortable majority as of now with 63 seats. We have today with us eminent political scientist Professor G Haragopal to explain the reasons of this transformation. Welcome on the show, sir. What do you think went wrong with KCR?
Yeah, I think, see, what happened in Telangana is that after we fought for a separate state, when we got the state, you should know that Telangana has a long history of democratic struggles from 1940s, and then in 60s, there was a, separate statehood movement again, no, in 2000 odd, for 20 years almost, we fought for separate Telangana. And Telangana, because of its long history of struggles and a very strong civil rights movement and a number of people's organizations, it has a democratic culture. But when the TRS was played an important role in the Telangana movement, that was the political expression of the aspirations of the Telangana people, I mean, on the political front. Otherwise, there were several joint action committees. And very interestingly, the ideologue was a university professor, he was a vice chancellor, and the political joint action committee, where all political parties were members, was headed, the chairman was an academic. I think, this is a very unique in the sense that all political parties working under the chairmanship of an academic, Professor Kodandram. Now, TRS won the first election because Telangana people thought that they represent the identity of Telangana, culture, the aspirations of the struggle. And they were trying, and the style of the chief minister in the very first term was not very, democratic, and he started appropriating the entire credit for bringing Telangana, which was not true. I mean, he played an important role, but it is not that he alone brought, it was the Congress party, and at that point of time, they had only two members of parliament, and it was Mrs. Sonia Gandhi who, maybe because of her Catholic ethics or whatever, she said, "We promise." And therefore, if you recall, that was the last day of the Rajya Sabha, and the government, we were to go for the elections. If it was not passed on that day, I don't know whether Telangana state would have been a reality. Now, second time he won because first time people gave a concession, saying that after all, it's a new state and we have problems. But the second term, I must tell you that he was an autocrat. And the difference between dictatorship and democracy, both at the national level and state level, is in dictatorship, the ruler speaks, people have to listen. In democracy, people speak and the ruler has to listen. This is the qualitative difference between dictator. And this man would not listen. He would not come to office. He would sit in house, and officers have to go. And he would not take anybody's advice. Whatever comes to his mind, that becomes the public policy. I don't think that any chief minister can run a state like Telangana through his whims and fancies. I think that was one problem. And most of the policies that I should say, experimented, whether it was, Dalit Bandhu or Raitu Bandhu or whatever programs, even irrigation. So, for example, if you take any policy, I teach public policy, we have backward linkages and forward linkages. What are the, backward linkages? And then what would be the steps you take? Now, see, he would not think of that. I mean, he would just say that this is my policy. And the officers, everybody has to fall in line. And he would not listen. And the minister, the cabinet, was hardly a cabinet. When we teach cabinet system of government, we say chief minister. Chief minister is a minister, but he's the chief among the ministers. There is a certain equality, primus inter pares, what we call. But in this case, no minister, I can tell you for last 5 years, no minister can take a small decision of a transfer, let's say, of a school teacher. Education minister says that her file has to go to chief minister. Now he concentrated power in the office so much that it would be difficult for a single human being to run a state. Ministers have to have their autonomy, their freedom. They have to deal with their and he one of the worst policies and which has annoyed the people of Telangana was number one, employment. 10 years he has not given notification for group one, group two, group three. No notification. 30 lakhs educated unemployed. And the minute Telangana came, the entire youth stopped any participation except preparing for exams. They went on preparing, and 25-year fellows became 35 years, 30-year people became 40 years, no employment. And with the result, there was an accumulated frustration among the youth, and universities were destroyed. Of course, BJP has destroyed universities at the national level, but this chap has destroyed the universities. And no appointment in any university. Some of the departments where I studied, we used to have 18 faculty. There is one faculty, two faculty. Budget has been cut from 11% to 6% on education. School education completely, 6,000 schools have been closed. This has become a very expensive affair for parents to send children to private school and all that. Employment and education, if we had given a good education, quality education, they would have competed at national level or whatever. If you don't give quality education, they can't compete at national level. And at the state level, you don't give a notification. And the accumulated frustration, that's why the youth, unemployed youth, played a very important role in this election. They took buses, went to the villages, and started requesting, because he gave old age pension. Old people thought that he gave pension, but then their children went, their grandchildren went and said, please this time don't vote because we don't have jobs. And of course, the civil society in Telangana, unlike many states in India, is very vibrant. I myself, the convener of the Telangana People Joint Action Committee, we have 2030 organizations. Then there's one of the retired, the officer who resigned because the chief minister misbehaved. He's a Dalit officer and very honest officer. He came out and he started an organization, Telangana Jago. Then a judge who felt that the way the system is run, so he started an organization. And therefore, there were several civil society organizations. All of us went in campaign. Of course, we didn't say whom to vote, but I said vote for certain values, for democracy, for constitution, for certain accountable government. So I think this entire process, this is a rejection of a model of development informed by arrogance, total arrogance, indifference, and absolutely no communication to the people. He would not take any advice. I think Telangana people rejected a model which is authoritarian and arrogant, I would say. And
So, sir, you're saying that
yeah,
you're saying it's a negative vote against the BRS government, not a positive vote for the Congress.
no, it is a negative vote. It's a negative vote. Although Rahul Gandhi, when he had a Padayatra in Telangana, he raised some new expectations. He was more moderate, modest, and he met some of us 4 times. You can imagine that he meeting a cross section of people, trying to explain, more trying to listen. And obviously, one found in him a more modest, moderate politician than in KCR, who was absolutely arrogant. The advantage and the authorities, I can tell you that never it happened. In last 10 years, I have been in the civil rights movement 50 years. No chief minister, however arrogant, whether it is the N.T. Rama Rao or whether it is the Rajshekar Reddy, never touched us, at least touched me. But in this government, twice I was arrested. What for? We were taking a small procession of 30 people, university teachers and school teachers, for education. It's a 2 furlong procession. We started from the Martyrs Memorial. The minute we started, police came and arrested all of us. I just was arguing with the police that what is that we are asking for education right? And they said just 2 furlong. We are 30 to 40 people, we are all teachers. But they said instructions from above to arrest or to detain. It's not arrest, but detain. And then they slapped UPA case against 200 to 250. This is the largest number of people under UPA slap UPA against such a large number of people. 16 people's nominations were banned, which never happened. So on the civil rights movement, case front, I think this government was one of the most autocratic governments. That's why all these organizations, of course, we fought and they lifted the ban on 16 organizations. Of course, Chief Minister office rang me up and said that's a UPA case. Chief Minister wants to convey that. It's not against me. 270 or 252 people were booked under UPA under one FIR. Can you imagine the 256 people or 252 people being put under UPA, which is a draconian law. So I think all these things, this cumulative effect. So with the result, there was a lot of negative, feeling among the people. And the Congress party, with all said and done, I would say, barring this period, one advantage with the Congress party is it has internal squabbles. Many people think it's very bad and they quarrel. But for a Democrat, I think that's good because there is a restraint. There is within party there are differences, and no chief minister can become autocratic. Then there is a high command. People can go and complain. And with all said and done, Congress provides a greater democratic space than what happened in Telangana under the TRS. My another thing would be that Telangana we fought for a separate state, partly saying that we have an identity of our own. Telangana has its own history, its culture, its poetry, its literature, and all that. Now, gradually he started diluting Telangana identity, and a couple of years back, he changed the party name from Telangana Rashtra Samiti to Bharat Rashtra Samiti. Then what is speak about the TRS party or BRS party compared to other national parties? They at least you fought earlier elections saying that our identity is very important. We have a self-pride. Telangana is proud of its culture, whatever, identity problem. If you remove the identity, a sub-regional party, if it drops its identity, imagine about DMK dropping Tamil identity. It's just not possible. So that identity, which he has robbed people of that, and then with the result, this election, they couldn't say that we're a Telangana party because he's a Bharat. And they started saying he will fight in Maharashtra, he will fight in Karnataka. What happened? He went to Karnataka campaign, people lost the deposit. So I think he committed series of mistakes. And the cumulative effect has been that people felt very negatively about the government. And it is not positive vote in the sense that at least Congress will give us a democratic space and there will be a possibility, some access to the government, if not to one minister, another minister. If not, one can go to high command and complain. But in the case of TRS, it was not possible. Still, therefore, I would agree with you, that's more a negative vote than a positive vote for the Congress.
So there was a lot of buzz about how Hyderabad was attracting investments from other states. KTR being the brand ambassador, and one expected the youth to be more responsive to that in terms of Telangana's development. Probably not in the rural, it did not percolate in the rural areas. It remained confined to Hyderabad. I'm not sure about that, but can we discuss what went wrong? Because the image of the government was very investor friendly, market friendly. Somebody who's
Same thing happened to Chandrababu. Chandrababu was being projected as a pro-corporate, pro-industry, Hyderabad, high-tech city and all that. What happened to Chandrababu? See, he lost the election. See, it's not urban development, it is Hyderabad development, it's IT. That's one part of development. But you have a huge rural population. And that rural population, agriculture, agriculture is in a deep crisis all over India. And they needed support. This man gave Raitu Bandhu some 5,000, 6,000 rupees per acre. But that policy was, defective because he gave 6,000 rupees per acre to the owner of the property, not to the tenant who is the actual cultivator. So the tenant started still committing suicide in spite of the government giving 6,000 rupees per acre, 12,000 per year. And that happened. Second, instead of giving this type of support to 10 acres, 5 acres, he gave 100 acres man, he's in America, the check goes to America. The people sitting home, so some of those who sold away the land but not transferred the ownership, they started getting the money. They started wondering why they were getting the money. And when people complained, he said that if somebody is in a tenant in a house, can they claim the house, or can they have rights on the house? This type of comparison that KCR made of the Raitu Bandhu, in fact, Raitu Bandhu was in a way good scheme that at least it was helpful to the cultivator. But he shouldn't have given so much of money to hundreds of acre people who do not commit suicide. And he should have given more money to 1 acre, 2 acre people, and far lesser money to the people who have huge land. And I think, it was a good policy, but a policy which is inherently defective. Defective means the intention was to help the farmer, but the outcome was that it did not help the real farmer who was cultivating the land. So any policy, he would not take advice. The major problem with him is number of people were writing. A Telugu newspaper, Andhra Jyoti, was continuously, we were all writing in the newspaper. I have written letters to him, personal letters, but he would not listen. He would not listen to you. Suppose you say, sir, appoint the vice chancellor. 13 universities have no vice chancellor. He would throw your letter into the dustbin. And how can you run universities without vice chancellors for 2 years? And how much of time does it take for a chief minister to appoint vice chancellor? It does not involve expenditure also. It's just appointing a good person. But the type of people he appointed, as vice chancellor, they were not able to handle, they were not able to manage the universities. So I think, a series of mistakes, thinking that nobody can challenge him, nobody can defeat him. This, I think, arrogance that none can defeat me, I think is something that the Telangana people told him. He's wrong.
So looking
himself lost the election. Can you imagine chief minister losing?
Forward, what should we expect from the next government?
Congress party, first thing is they have to restore certain democratic values and democratic culture, number one. Second, the government should be accessible to the people. Once you are accessible, you continuously come to know what are the problem people are facing. And in this country, if somebody meets chief minister or a minister, expresses his grievance or problem, he thinks half of the problem is solved. Whether the problem is solved or not, he will say that I met the chief minister, I presented my problem, it's under consideration. But you refuse to meet, and neither minister meets nor the chief minister. Whom do you go? And the bureaucrats are helpless. You go to college, he says, sir, I am helpless. It has to go to center, secretariat. Secretariat, if you meet the secretary, sir, chief minister is not looking into the file. He just kept the file. What can I do? We can't go and force the chief minister to look into the file. And so therefore the bureaucracy lost its creativity. And many good bureaucrats would always tell chief minister. Can you imagine Advocate General going and telling him, sir, we have to produce this evidence. I promised the court that we have to produce evidence. He said, we will not produce. Tell the court that chief minister doesn't want it. Then Advocate General resigned, saying that how can I go court and tell as an Advocate General that chief minister doesn't want to give the evidence? But this is something which you can't imagine. So I think these are all things which led to his not only defeat of his party, as a person, he got defeated in Kamaredi.
So, sir,
what do you?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sir, what do you think will be the future of the BJP in the state? Not long ago, it appeared as a strong alternative to the BRS.
No, I don't think BJP has any chance because this cultural route that BJP has chosen was clicks in the North India. I think in South India, I think that the roots, cultural roots, this religious or the hatred or this politics of hatred. And of course, even the Prime Minister's style is no better than the chief minister's style. Although he's a little remote to us, he's in Delhi. But you ask anybody, secretary in Central Secretariat in Delhi, they would not dare to speak. They say even if a whisper PM office will come to know. The same model is there, but that model is remote to the people. A Prime Minister will not be accessible to anybody. So people think that, yes, as Prime Minister. But as far as South India is concerned, because we had reform movement, Periyar or Narayan Guru or Gurujada, and we had struggles I think South Indian overall, culture, it will not fit into the type of cultural model that the BJP is presenting. That's why they got 8 or 9 seats. That too, one has to imagine Prime Minister came many times, Home Minister came, Defense Minister came, BJP President came, UP Prime Minister, Chief Minister came, Assam Chief Minister came, and Smriti Irani came. All of them campaigned for BJP. Finally, they got 7 or 8 seats. So I think they don't have, their approach to South India has to be different. And if they have a different approach, maybe, they will have some space. Otherwise, there is not much of space for the Bharatiya Janata Party.
So
But
I
that
want to know.
approach is working fine for them in North India. So
Pardon?
that approach is working very fine for them in North India.
Yeah, South, is culturally different. So I was for a short while in Delhi University. See, in North India, what happened? We were preparing a curriculum for the Department of Political in Delhi University. South was completely, then I went on reminding, where is South India? Yes, yes, they said, yes, yes, we have to add one more chapter. So this is the type of thing in Delhi. Till N.T. Rao got elected, all of us are South Indian, Madrasis. So when you go to Delhi, you are a Madrasi because except Madrasi, they would not, would not recognize. Now South India, perhaps gradually being recognized in North, that there is one South India which is slightly different from North India. So I think this entire approach of BJP, as far as South India is concerned, I'm afraid that may not click.
Sharon?
Yeah, sir, I want to know from you how about the Muslim vote, which is very crucial. Do you think that the Muslims opted or decided to back the Congress? What went wrong there, sir, with the Muslim vote? What were their aspirations
Uh,
and was it met?
Both in Karnataka and Telangana, minorities, both Christians and Muslims, have decided that they would vote for Congress party. And the Christians, because what was happening in Manipur, so they were unhappy. Of course, churches were demolished and all that. And the bishop called all the churches and said that minorities have to vote for the Congress or against the BJP. So is the case with Muslims. Salahuddin Owaisi, who was still recently considered as a voice of the minorities, now people have come to suspect his bona fides, and therefore there is a big division. And within the old city, of course, they won. But outside the Hyderabad, the Muslims, by and large, voted for the Congress party.
What do you make of this freebie politics happening there? All through the campaign, we were talking about either the BRS's, how the BRS was showering freebies on every section of the society, one through schemes, through DBT, through just distribution of money. Even the Congress was trying to outmatch that in terms of promises, manifesto promises.
See, I
Which
think,
way are we heading there?
yeah. But there is a change in the attitude of people. When you get a benefit from the government, recently they were always thinking it is the gift of the government. It is the grace of the government. But today, people think they're right. The people keep on saying that they are not giving from their own pocket. It's the public money. They are giving, and we have problems. And what is the government for? So find a difference now. So they think that see, they deserve, they are entitled for it. This change, to me, is a very big change in the attitude of people. So when you say that he has given drinking water, or he has repaired the minor irrigation tank, he has done this, he has done this, he is giving the Shadi Mubarak or Kalyan Lakshmi, they say that yes, we are entitled for it. So people no longer think that it is the blessing or it's the boon given by the government. That was true of Mrs. Gandhi. At that time, they said she's like our Amma, she's my mother. So mother is giving this. So that's why even today in Telangana, say Rahul Gandhi, when he came to Telangana, still they said Mr. Gandhi's grandson. So that, at that time that was clicking. But gradually, what is happening is when government gives something to the people, people are saying it's our right. I think this change is going to, although Prime Minister is saying freebies and all that, it's not freebies or welfare. But it's the question that people think that this is the job of the government to help us. So I think that's why they never felt so grateful, although they won 30 to 40 seats because of that. Even if that welfare was not there, perhaps they would have completely washed off. So yes, some people benefited. But there is always, say, for example, in Karnataka, when they announced these welfare schemes, now the Karnataka give big advertisement in Telangana. So people who are benefited by free travel in the train by women, or 200 units of current, you know what people said? Whatever money I'm saving for my bus travel, I'm paying fee of my child. 200 units, I'm saving a little money, I'm paying for my health. What people want is education, health. Supposing if you make both of them accessible, people will have quality of life will improve, standard of living. So instead of touching these things, health and education is being privatized, and then you say free bus travel or current is given. Now they think that this little money that government gives them, that money they are spending on what they think is the major need, that is the child's education and health of the family member. If you can provide health and education, if the BJP can do, I think they will be there for a very long time in power. But absolutely, they believe in corporate model of development, and therefore they are destroying universities instead of building universities, making them more vibrant and all that. Yeah.
So my colleagues may have more questions. From my side, this is last question. What do you make of Revanth Reddy, who is tipped to be the next chief minister? His leadership style and the public pronouncements he might have made about his intent as an administrator. Look, what should we expect from him there?
See, recently in one TV channel, three of us had a 2 hours, 2.5 hours discussion with Revanth Reddy. Whatever question you posed, I posed these questions to him. Very tough questions we have asked. What impression I get is that in the course of he managing and campaigning, his understanding of problems has definitely has improved. On irrigation, the way he explained or these things. Of course, his language is, I told him that this is not the language in public life one should use. Then he said, no, sir, I'm still an opposition man, and opposition people, when they themselves use the rough language. But what I found, it is he was listening. But I told him also that you listen because you are not still in power. But the minute you get into power, you will not even meet us. He said, no, no, sir, I have a lot of respect for all of you and all that. But I think what happens is Revanth Reddy will not be like KCR having all the power. There are senior Congress people in the party who are far more senior to him. So they will always advise when he can't totally ignore. And then there is a high command with Rahul Gandhi, with Priyanka, and more so Sonia Gandhi. I think Revanth Reddy will not have the type of freedom that any regional leader would have. So is the case perhaps with the BJP. And therefore, he will make a better chief minister than KCR, I would say. The reason being that he can't be totally indifferent to the people. He said, sir, I'll spend 2 hours every morning with the people and all that. He has his own understanding. But the problem with these people, they're not mature. To occupy an office of the chief minister, no one has to grow. See, Revanth Reddy came from Telangana తెలుగుదేశం party, joined the party, then he was made party president because he galvanized the party. To that extent, you give him the credit. But once they occupy the office of the chief minister, managing that office, many senior people in the cabinet, so therefore he cannot be despotic. One. Then I think ministers will have some freedom to decide. Three, I think the directions also will come from Delhi. So I think these three things will make him a slightly different chief minister than the present outgoing chief.
Sir, about these massive corruption allegations, be it Kaleshwaram or some other project, do you think there should be a thorough probe into all these allegations?
No, see, once I asked one of the senior ministers. He said, we hear a lot about this corruption. Then he said, sir, any political party will have to make money. So 15 to 20% cut will always be there, whoever is in power. He said, otherwise, how do you finance the party? And how do you finance the election? So this has come to be accepted. So it's only a question of percentage. In Karnataka, when the BJP was in power, it was 40%. That's why
40%.
contractors were unhappy. In Telangana, now they say 20 to 30%. Is it 10% less than Karnataka? But I think this the corruption.
You're getting a discount 10% here.
See, contractors have become almost something like their financiers. And contractors will have a lot of control over the government. And this middlemen, real estate, educational mafia, land mafia, sand mafia, liquor mafia. Now, what do you do with the mafia if the Congress party comes? Will be able to tame them, whether they will be able to control, because these are the powerful people. They can even create, a lot of hell of problems outside because they have huge money. So one has to see, but I think the corruption thing, one doesn't know how much, quantum, but definitely there was a corruption. On that, absolutely, I have no doubt. There was corruption. And perhaps after the BJP, the second richest party is the TRS. That's why he became a national party. And he started campaigning in Karnataka. And now, of course, now I don't know what he will do. He said he will go to Maharashtra. And if you see the advertisements, a small newspaper, when I went to Bihar to a small, they said, sir, what is this? He has a small paper, there's an advertisement in a small newspaper in Bihar. Why should you give so much of advertisement? I think they must have spent maybe 200 to 300 crores on advertisement. Whereas when Siddaramaiah was chief minister, I was teaching in Bangalore. When I asked his publicly, he said 29 crores was the expenditure of when Siddaramaiah was the chief minister. Here it was 300 crores. Why you need so much advertisement? Why do you need advertisement in Bihar, Maharashtra, small newspaper? See, he wanted to project himself as a national leader. And when one of the army person died in the firing in Kashmir or somewhere, he went and gave 5 crores because he thought that
Galwan Valley.
national attention. He gave 5 crores. Nobody, even government of India, not defense, would give that type of money because he thought that Indian army, he will have a good will. And then, lakhs of army people say that Telangana chief minister is very generous and all that. So these are the type of things. So therefore, TRS party is a very rich party. There's no doubt about that.
So, do you think that the victory in Telangana will have an impact? An impact for the Congress in northern India, or will its failures in northern India impact elections in southern India, sir,
See,
in the upcoming Lok Sabha election?
If you see the elections in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, after all, Congress was in power, and Madhya Pradesh BJP was in power. Whereas in Rajasthan, incumbency became a liability. In Madhya Pradesh, it became an asset. So in both North Indian states, they have come. And Chhattisgarh is also a surprise that although the chief minister was considered a better chief minister and all that, but even in Chhattisgarh, they have lost. So I don't know, after the results and another 5-6 months, how North India will turn. And although in Bihar, I found there is certain negative attitude towards BJP because I was talking to a taxi driver and all that. They said, no, sir, it was Hawa and Hawa aa gaya, chale gaya. One doesn't know in Bihar what's going to happen. But in North India, till now, I think BJP holds the ground. And one of the reasons why they hold the ground is the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. They have a very hard-working cadre. They go from door to door. They campaign for the party. That's why BJP is very much dependent on RSS because RSS provides the cadre. No other political party has a cadre of lakhs of people as BJP has. And I think cultural resources still seem to be in North India. People cling to those cultural values. Whereas South India, I think the cultural, resources are of a different kind. Whereas North India, the BJP falls on the cultural resources and cultural resources seem to be still working. Otherwise, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, one can't explain the type of results the BJP. Of course, Prime Minister is calling a landslide victory. But one thing is sure that they thought Congress Mukta Bharat I think Congress continues to be alive as a political party, and one has to see that whether it can bring other opposition parties and they learn something from Karnataka, Telangana. One doesn't know. If India alliance consolidates, maybe still they can provide some alternative. But otherwise, I do not know what impact Telangana elections will have on North India. There is a divide between South and North as far as the electoral politics are concerned.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for sharing your valuable insights with us. Thank you.